I'll read what you said. You said the Yankees, they're not a good team. I don't care what their record is. They have a lot of wild pitches. Make a lot of mistakes in the field. They don't run the bases very well. It came and went, but then Aaron Boone decided to see if he could give it CPR before game one, and said, contrary to some thoughts up here, we're a really good team. Buck, it's your forum. Go.
Yeah, you know what, Joe?
John, there is a kind of a man of the hour right now in the postseason, and he isn't just the guy striking people out from the mound like Yesavage or Schlittler. It's Buck Martinez who's made some news this postseason.
Yeah, a well-timed guest. I don't know if he predicted, but he mentioned in September 9th that Yankees aren't such a great team. And right now, the Blue Jays, the team he broadcasts for, is killing the Yankees after two games. Yankees haven't been brutal in the field or making mistakes, but they are being killed right now by his team. So it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about that.
Yeah, we'll ask him what he thinks of this version of the Yankees, what he thinks of this version of the Blue Jays, why the series is going this way, and a lot more. John and I will talk about the Yankees and a lot about Aaron Judge at the top of the show. We'll play hit and error at the end if you stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman. John, we've got to give some time reference here because we're talking the morning before game three at night at Yankee Stadium, Blue Jays and Yankees, with the Yankees trying to keep their season alive. They need a three-game winning streak. Obviously, they can't do that without winning on Tuesday night, sending Carlos Rodon out against Shane Bieber. And John, I wonder if I could start here. The Yankees might get swept, and I actually think they're a better team than last year's team that went to the World Series. I think they're better rounded. They're not addicted to do Soto and Judge get hits, or in the playoffs, do Soto and Stanton get hits. They're just better all around, and yet they've hit this roadblock. The Blue Jays, who, especially in Toronto, they have not been able to beat this year. I think they're 1-8 as we're speaking, John, in Rogers Center. Uh, what do you think about where they are and who they are?
Yeah, I mean, the team's tied. 94 wins in the regular season. The Blue Jays have looked so much better. I mean, it was at one point they'd outscored the Yankees 22-1, right? Now it's a little bit better once the Blue Jays put in the underbelly of that mediocre bullpen. The Yankees scored some runs, but basically they've gotten killed the first two games, right? 10-1 and 13-7, doing well in the garbage innings. So I mean, it is two games. That's the way the playoffs are. I do think the Yankees are better. I agree with you. Certainly, McMahon is a nice third baseman. The moves in the winter were very good. Bellinger, very good. Fried, I mean, Fried was a little perplexed after the game, right? I mean, he didn't say I'm perplexed, but he said his stuff was good. He was throwing where he wanted to, and yet they still hit it. I don't know whether Luke Weaver said they had tips on him, or he was told they had tips on him. Maybe they have tips on everybody. I don't know. Are the Blue Jays really good at that? It just seemed weird that they were killing basically all the Yankee pitchers.
Yeah, but the Red Sox have tips on Luke Weaver too. I mean, it was the same situation. He faced three batters, didn't get any out against Boston, faced three batters in Toronto. Look, we live in a conspiracy theory universe. Everyone believes everyone else is nefarious. I'd like to believe after what happened to the reputations, punishments, etc. of the 2017 Astros that nobody would do something over
Well,
crazy.
I'm just saying they've picked up tips on the pitchers.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
there's anything wrong with it if they can do it on every pitcher. I don't know. I mean, every Yankee pitcher who they've thrown out there, I guess Hill and Doval were okay, right? But
Yeah.
basically, the pitchers have gotten killed. The Blue Jays are the first team that scored 23 runs in the first two games of a playoff series. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they're just that good. During the regular season, the Yankees scored more runs than they did. They do have a solid offense. They're missing Bichette, but I don't think anybody saw this coming.
Yeah, and John, all I was going to say is if it's brinksmanship, if it's gamesmanship on the field or preparation beforehand, I mean, the rest of the sport thinks the team that does that the most is the Yankees, that their coaches are very involved in the game, the first and third base coach. And as we see where they do the wide circle at second base, where they're relaying signs from the first base coach about what pitch is coming. Paranoia is quite a thing when you're the nefarious one, or not. Again, I that's a terrible word. I'm sorry. I want to retract that. It's all gamesmanship if it's just keep to the field. And it is what it is. And John, just within that, the Yankees are a better all-around team in every way, pretty much, than last year. And yet they're still a three-point shooting team, right? They're a home run team.
Right.
And if they're going to lose the home run battle 8-1, and Varsho's going to have more homers than them. Kirk's going to have more homers than them. And Vlad is going to be the biggest star in the series and have more homers than them. There's just no escape. The Blue Jays are winning the star game, Vlad. They're winning the chorus game. They're winning the starting pitching game. They deserve to be up wide 2-0. So I ask you about that, but also how do the Yankees even begin to mount a comeback against this?
First on Vlad, I do think he does hate the Yankees. He's become political now that he's the highest paid player in American League history with $500 million deal. He's maybe a little mature. I don't know. We liked it when he was telling us exactly why he hated the Yankees, but he stopped doing that. But I have talked to teammates. I went yesterday and talked to a teammate, and he said, he really loves the booing of the fans. And, he has over a 1,000 OPS at Yankee Stadium lifetime. And look, he's not Aaron Judge, right? I mean, a 1,000 OPS is pretty darn good. This teammate said he revels in the booing, loves it, and really reacts to it. Now, obviously, he got 6 hits up in I was going to say the Sky Dome, Rogers Center. I'm that old, but he does not like the Yankees. No matter what he says politically, every team's the same. I get the same energy. He was not hitting home runs coming in here. The last few weeks, he had been in a slump, really, in terms of power, and he turned it on when he saw the Yankees. Maybe that's it. I don't know. In terms of how the Yankees get back in it, I mean, they're at home. That's certainly better. I think they have the advantage in the pitching matchups over the next 2 days. I thought that the first 2 days, and I was dead wrong. We shall see. Bieber has been pretty good, but Rodon has been better. Game 4, Toronto's throwing a bullpen game, I guess. I don't know, that's been somewhat effective, but their bullpen's not that good. So up until Yesavage comes back in Game 5, and I'm giving Yesavage the edge over Fried at this point, which is crazy. The Yankees do have the advantage in the bullpen.
Well, I think Gosman would start 5, right, for Toronto, and Yesavage would just be available.
Well, I don't. Yeah. Either way, they could go either way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yesavage could pitch, right?
Yeah, I mean, in
I'm not-
theory, if Fried could start, Yesavage could start. I think the plan was Gosman, but like the
Well,
plan
they
didn't
took him
see
out after.
Yesavage
Yeah.
pitch. You
Yeah,
know,
they
when
took him out after 5 1/3. They had no hits and 11 strikeouts, right? I don't know. I'm going with Yesavage. I know Gosman is good and he did well too, but the history of it is that Judge and these other guys do get to Gosman pretty well, right? Yesavage has still never given up a hit to the Yankees, and he has been dynamic. I mean, the Tampa faced him twice, and they were a disaster against him. Only Kansas City was on him a bit, and I talked to Yesavage yesterday, and he said he just didn't have his fastball command that day. If he has his fastball command, second time, maybe a little bit better. I don't know. You're going to have to probably play Goldschmidt instead of Rice, but does that do it? I mean, basically, nobody looked good. I know Judge walked on 4 pitches, but nobody looked good against him. So I'm thinking they're going to give him a run in that. Maybe it'll be a combo of Gosman and
yeah,
Yesavage. But to me, Yesavage is
he'll be a
he's
piece of
the
it
one.
at the very least. He'll be a piece if they
Right.
get to like where do the Yankees sign up to try to figure out how to hit Yesavage again? Because it means there would be a game 5. So they're going to sign
Right.
up.
Maybe a second time around, maybe they'll do a little bit better. Certainly, they'll be have more time to think about it, and they had some experience there. But you know, you would think Fried has the advantage over anybody over Skeens or Skubal, but in this circumstance, I'm not so sure. We got to get there first of all. So the Yankees do have the home field. They do have the pitching edges in the next 2 games, in my opinion. They do have a shot. Certainly don't have the momentum. Toronto's feeling good. I mean, Yankees can't be feeling too good about this right now.
John, you mentioned a name when you mentioned the walk in there. I'm going to talk about him a little. I wonder what you think. That's Aaron Judge. Uh, the Yankees cannot get from here to there unless he gets not just hits, but big hits. It's hard to be critical of somebody who's 8 for 18 in the postseason with 2 walks because it's hard to hit in general. It's hard to hit in the postseason. But this has been low impact. It's 7 singles and a double. He got a gift RBI against Boston. It was a gift hit even when Jarren Duran dropped the ball. His other RBI came with them down 13-2 in game 2 of this series. His lifetime stuff is not great. And in the postseason, I went and looked it up. There's that WPA,
Win
the
probability added.
yeah, well, thank you, John. Because I was around for Sky Dome
Right.
also. My brain doesn't work that great. Win probability added for all of his play 230, 40, whatever it is, plate appearances in the postseason. His five biggest ones, four have come in losses, four have come before the fifth inning, and one was a two-run homer off of Jack Flaherty in Game 5 of the World Series last year, John, where a few innings later he would make a defensive blunder in center field that would trigger the downfall inning for the Yankees. Like he has not had a Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams, Reggie Jackson, like the great Yankee moment. And I don't know how they get a three-game winning streak without him
Well,
doing.
they do have other very good hitters. Everybody in that lineup, if Goldschmidt's not playing, they all have 20 home runs this year, counting the Volpe homer in the wild card round. But so they have a very well. Not only do they have the best hitter in the game, they have a very well balanced team. Aaron Judge has two issues here. He's got two problems. One is that he's so great. He's the best hitter at least since Barry Bonds, if you count Barry Bonds. So at least that far, best hitter in baseball. And the other thing is he has not been as good in the postseason as he has been in the regular season. It's been quite a gap. So he's got two issues because there's no other circumstance where we're now dissecting a guy hitting 444. But I mean, I certainly get it. And he probably understands. He's the man. The most is expected of him. If this series closes out, they don't win, and they hit 400. He hits 400 plus. He's going to be remembered, unfortunately for him, for that one at bat. That was the key at bat, right? I mean, it was bases loaded, nobody out. It was a close game at that point, 2-0. And he struck out on a 3-2 pitch that was out of the zone. Gosman said in the interview room later he would have been okay walking him. He didn't want to really face him. I mean, nobody's avoided Judge more than the Blue Jays over the regular season. Intentionally walking him the most, so he would have been okay with a walk, yet Judge swung and missed. That's the one we're going to remember. We're not going to remember the other 17 at bats and 8 hits, which is almost a 500 batting average. So it's a little unfair, yet I get it. I mean, I certainly understand it. The blue, especially when the Blue Jay star is hitting grand slams and just killing it, and so.
Blue Jays star John has now played 8 total postseason games. Those first 6 weren't very good. He has a couple of bigger hits in these 2 games
Right.
than Judge has in 63 postseason games. I'll give
One
you.
against Cleveland was a big hit. I mean, he didn't know they were losing that game when he
Yeah.
hit it.
Okay.
We'll
So
give,
what?
yeah.
That's a big hit. John, here's the other one, and because you did say there is a way to come back because they have a good lineup. In the of the last 18 teams that went down 0-2, 17 have lost. The one that won was the 2017 Yankees.
Right.
Judge in those 3 games where they rallied to win went 1 for 13 with 11 strikeouts. They won in spite of him.
You
In
got some good stats today. I
2017.
got to give it to you. You
Yeah.
got all the
Yeah.
stats.
Well, I mean, it's just we're watching
You
a
were there for
historically
You got it
great
all.
we're watching an historically great player, a unanimous Hall of Fame type
Right.
player, one of the 20 maybe greatest hitters regular season who's ever played. He's possibly about to win a third AL MVP. But part of the distinguishing factor of the Yankees not getting from here to the Canyon of Heroes the last 9 years is that he hasn't been able to deliver the put him on the back kind of moments that his Hall of Fame, MVPs, greatest hitter ever befits. And it lessens the star, especially for the Yankees, who are built around 27 championships. They're built around Mr. October. They're built around Mr. November. Unfortunately, they have some history of Mr. May also, right? And it's at this point, he doesn't even have like a Tino Martinez moment, who had a couple.
Yeah,
And
I get
Tino
it.
wasn't a particularly good postseason player, but he had moments that carried them forward. And I just think that this historic player needs it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't know if he gets it. I probably does. He's a smart guy. Yeah, he needs a big moment. We saw other superstars go through this. Bonds, certainly A-Rod. You mentioned reference Winfield without using his actual surname. So, it is harder to hit in the postseason. Normally it's colder. So far it's been beautiful. The pitching is better. And I do think they are, other teams, particularly the Jays, are into avoidance of him. So, but the other guys have overcome it, right? Reggie was incredible in October, as he'll tell you. He was amazing, right? In the postseason. Mickey Mantle, a 900 OPS in the postseason. Gehrig and Ruth even better. Now that's before we had integration. So I'm putting an asterisk on that too.
And
But
relief pitching at this level.
right, it's not easy. I'll say that. But he is Aaron Judge. He is gonna. I think he's gonna win the MVP again. It'll be the third time, and Yankee fans will tell you it should be four times. I think he'll win it. No guarantee. Obviously, Raleigh was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Is it fair? I'll have to think about that a little bit more.
Well, there's fair to me and there's sports fair. Like in real life, this wouldn't be fair, but like the analogy I use is sometimes the starting quarterback gets hurt and the backup quarterback gets in. And if you'd like to keep playing or get a job someplace else, that's the window. Like this is not like the rest
Right.
of the world. The chances sometimes are very, very brief to do something spectacular. And this is not brief anymore. It's 63 games, and it's hard to recall. I mean, John, big picture postseason, the thing we remember most about Judge is dropping the fly ball. This postseason, he's 8 for 18. We remember a strikeout against Gosman with the bases loaded. He would be better off being 1 for 13 with a grand slam this postseason than what he
I'm
is.
not sure.
Like,
I'm not sure
like,
about that.
like
I think he's
because
gonna, no matter what he does, unless he has one of those final postseasons that A-Rod had in '09 or Barry Bonds had in a losing effort against the Angels in
But he is
'02.
A-Rod. He is, I mean,
Yeah,
clean, but like he
yeah,
is that. That's the stature of the player, John.
right,
Is
right.
it's not
Let's give him more
a
credit for clean than one word. Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. It's the stature of the player befits that he needs to rise his thing, all
Yeah,
rise, right,
right.
is at this moment and
Okay.
be spectacular. At some point, just carry him through, like for a series. And it has not happened in lots and lots of series at this point, dating back to 2017. And again, I just don't know how against this team that gives them so many fits, especially at their ballpark. It just feels like there is a weight on him. And he's the one hitting. I agree with you, John. It's unfair. He's the one who's 8 for 18 this postseason. Stanton is hitting the hell out of the ball, but it's on the ground a lot, so he hasn't had much to show for it. Like there's a lot of Trent Grisham has had a terrible postseason, but he's Trent Grisham. This is Aaron Judge. Like, you
Well,
know,
we can't get on Stanton because he has killed the ball. Now, obviously, him hitting it on the ground isn't like a Trey Turner hitting it on the ground. It's an out.
yeah,
They
yeah.
killed it. It's an out, and he hits it so hard, it's an out by 50 feet usually. But yeah, it's a little bad luck with Stanton because he has been killing the ball. But that's his swing, right? He doesn't have really an uppercut swing. That's why he has hits the ball harder than anybody, but maybe not farther than anybody. But yeah, I mean. Right, and Stanton has got a long history of being great in October, so no one's gonna pick on him. I get it. I mean, I understand it. I'm gonna think about it more. Is it fair?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have some time to think about it, as many as maybe 12 hours or maybe a few more days or a few more weeks. We'll see. But obviously this series isn't over. Somebody who said something interesting last month about the New York Yankees, Blue Jays broadcaster Buck Martinez, will be joining us next on the show. Buck Martinez, 17 years as a major league catcher, a longtime broadcaster, manager of the Blue Jays for a couple of seasons, and now on Sportsnet up in Toronto broadcasting their games. Buck, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Good to be with you guys. It's an exciting time for everybody.
Buck, why don't we jump into it? We reached out to you on a September 9th broadcast. I'll read what you said. You said the Yankees, they're not a good team. I don't care what their record is. They have a lot of wild pitches. They make a lot of mistakes in the field. They don't run the bases very well. It came and went, but then Aaron Boone decided to see if he could give it CPR before game 1 and said, contrary to some thoughts up here, we're a really good team. Buck, it's your forum. Go.
Yeah, you know what, Joe? I just watched, and at that time, you guys know the Yankees went through a tough stretch in the summer. There's no question about it. And yeah, they've got some real prominent superstars. I mean, arguably Judge is one of the best players that ever played the game, and Stanton, and they got Cody Bellinger. They got a lot of talent, and it showed up as last year in the World Series. They didn't run the bases well. They don't have a good defensive team. Their shortstop made 19 errors. Most errors by any shortstop in the big leagues. Those types of things really rear their ugly head. Now, you guys saw the Boston Yankees series. If Boston catches the ball, Blue Jays are playing the Red Sox, and they just didn't catch the ball. And it's so important in this time of the season and postseason to catch the ball and make good pitches. And you saw it in the first 2 games with the Blue Jays. The defense for Toronto has been exceptional all season long. That's all I said. I mean, yeah, character. They've got a lot of character. They've got a pedigree. And Aaron Boone, when I first saw him in Toronto in our meeting with him before the game 1, he said, "I don't like your hair either."
That was fun. That's a funny comeback. So I guess he took it well. Obviously, your hair is outstanding for a 7-year-old man. So, so what do you think now? You've seen 2 games. The Yankees have kind of buttoned up. Their defense is better now than it was then, but the Blue Jays are still killing them. So, what do you think is going on with the Yankees? Because you are the guy who said really that they weren't good enough.
John, I think the Blue Jays are playing old school baseball. John Schneider, the manager, emphasized this in spring training, and actually started at the end of last season, where he said, "You know what? We got to get better on the bases. We got to get better in the field, and we got to have better at bats." So they brought in 2 new hitting coaches, David Popkins and Lou Iannotti. And I saw them in the spring. I said, "What's your philosophy?" And they said, "Get a good pitch to hit and get your best swing off." And at that point, I gave them a hug. There was no analytics involved. It was back to baseball. Watch what the pitcher's doing, get a good pitch, and don't strike out. And they have struck out fewer times than anybody in baseball. And it plays, so far in these first 2 games, the Blue Jays have more home runs than strikeouts in 2 games. And that's only happened one other time with the 2005 White Sox.
Buck, just to go back to it a little bit, is for a year and a half, I was just killing the Yankees for how bad they play baseball. I just was on them. I felt like the Dodgers series was coming. The strange thing is that I actually think for the last 2 months, John used the term button up. They've been a good baseball team. Like, they've been a little more explosive on the bases. Ryan McMahon has been transformative for them on defense. And post getting his cortisone shot, Volpe has gotten good on defense again also. And I thought one of the problems in this series would be, well, I know the Blue Jays are going to put it in play on their turf. The Yankees played terrible this season. And it wasn't that. The Blue Jays, for as much old style baseball they hit it over the fence also. The Yankees were supposed to win the power game. They're losing 8-1. It just feels to me like it's not even going to be a fight. If the Blue Jays are buttoned up on defense, which they are, they do run the bases well, they do put it in play. But if they win the power game, this is going to be an easy sweep.
Yeah, and it could be. And you know what? As well as Vladdy has hit against the Yankees all season long, he hits even better at Yankee Stadium. Obviously he grew up in a baseball family, and he always watched the Yankees. He always wanted to play at Yankee Stadium, and when he gets into Yankee Stadium, something goes off. He absolutely comes to the top when he's facing the Yankees. Garrett Cole mentioned it a couple of years ago when Bo and Vladdy were beating him up here at Yankee Stadium, because those guys are going to be a pain in the neck for a long time. And Vladdy, you guys know, the last 2 weeks of September, he wasn't doing a thing. He's hitting weak ground balls and weak pop-ups and everything else. And all of a sudden, John Schneider said that week off really helped Vladdy, because he could really focus on his mechanics and get back to where he had been most of the summer, and boys turned around for him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And let me ask you this about Vladdy, because I used to get him to be able to say something about the Yankees, and we know the history of it, that security guy kicked him out, and that his father had a deal for the Yankees, and the Yankees reneged on it and went to Sheffield. That was the Steinbrenner move that didn't turn out well, as Vladdy was the MVP next year. But now he's just saying, "I have the great energy against every team, whatever." That's not what teammates say. What? Because you are right about he's a 1,000 OPS against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. There is something going on there. What do you? I mean, I think now that he's a little bit more mature, maybe, and he's got his big contract, it's not worth it for him to get into it. But what do you think his deep down feeling is about the Yankees and their fans and their fans too? Because he kills it here at Yankee Stadium.
John, I don't think it's the Yankees. I think it's the big stage. Here he is. He loves to play baseball. He plays baseball with so much joy, whether he's hitting or playing in the field. And when you see one of his teammates make a great play, he enjoys it as much as his teammate. But he loves the big stage and he loves to compete. And there's no bigger stage than Yankee Stadium in the postseason against the New York Yankees. And he just rises to the top. And you're right. He has matured dramatically. And what people don't remember is he's 26 years old. He barely has hit his prime yet. And he's only going to get better and better because he wants to be the best. He said, I want to be as good as my dad. And of course, his dad's in the Hall of Fame.
Well, he seems well on the way. Buck, as great as Vlad's been, as great as Kirk's been, as great as Dalton Varsho's been, it's going to be hard to leave this series and not be thinking about Trey Yesavage. And just how much he dominated the team that led the majors in runs per game, and just humbled them. Give us your view. It's only been 4 starts, but man, it's been impressive. No more so than in game 2 of this series.
Joe, we didn't know. I knew of him, obviously. We didn't see him in spring training. He hasn't been with the Blue Jays in spring training camps yet. He signed last year, and the Blue Jays didn't pitch him. And they started him out in Dunedin. I think Dan Shulman said on a broadcast that the first crowd he had in pro ball was like 289 people. And on Sunday, he was in front of 44,000. But he's a very special, very mature 22-year-old. And you heard the comments. He said, I was built for this. And then he thought afterwards, he said, boy, I better back that up. And did he ever? He did it in spades for sure. But it's a simple approach. He has the second highest arm angle in baseball. It's really exaggerated, 63 degrees right over the top. And it's difficult for hitters to pick up the angle. And plus, he's 6'5". He's a big guy standing on a mound, and everything is downhill. So he has a simple repertoire: fastball, splitter, and slider. And his slider is like Juan Guzman. You two will remember Juan Guzman in his heyday with those World Series teams for the Blue Jays. His breaking ball went straight down. Well, that's exactly what Yesavage is doing. I mean, for him to come out and have 11 strikeouts against the New York Yankees in his postseason debut is pretty impressive. And you saw him, and it happened right out of the chute. When Trent Grisham called timeout with 2 strikes, the first at bat of the game, Trey Yesavage never moved. He stood on the mound like a statue, said, okay, you're next. I mean, it's kind of like Dennis Eckersley. The way Eckersley always had that presence on the mound, and he's very humble. He's a wonderful kid. And this is really a big step. Think about this. The Blue Jays have 3 of their 5 starters off this roster: Barrios, Scherzer, and Bassett. And there's still 2 up in the Yankees series.
I agree with you on Yesavage. I got to talk to him yesterday, went to the workout, and a very, very nice young guy who's grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. Really terrific. I want to ask you something about what's going on in the series. I agree the Blue Jays have really improved this year. The bullpen is obviously much better, but the hitting has been amazing throughout the season, putting the ball in play. But in this series, it's been record-breaking. No other team had scored 23 runs in the first 2 games of a series, and they faced what we thought were pretty tough pitchers, at least with good stuff. And Fried is one of the best pitchers in the game and said afterward that he thought he had good stuff. He thought he placed the ball where he wanted to place it. Obviously we know that the Yankees are great at picking up tips and all these other things. Is it possible we heard that Luke Weaver talked about how he was told that he was tipping even from the previous series, and he's trying to correct that. Is it possible the Blue Jays, because they hit so great, people are looking for a reason, I guess. Is it possible they picked something up and they know what's coming?
Yeah, John, anything's possible in this day and age because everybody is looking at video. They're looking at every single pitch, every pitcher throws. And Kevin Gausman and Max Scherzer, you remember when Max Scherzer pitched here early in September, they had his pitches from the first base bag. The runner at first base could pick up his changeup in his glove, and he didn't change it. And excuse me, then Judge was waving his arms at second base. I mean, that's all well within the realm of baseball. You can do that. I played in Milwaukee with maybe the best team at tipping and relaying pitches ever with Sal Bando and Don Money and Larry Heisel and all those great hitters. But I don't think the Blue Jays had anything on their pitchers. I just think that's the way they've been hitting. If you look at Davis Schneider, now here's a guy that's been on the release list 4 or 5 times in the minor leagues. He's come up and done a great job and basically become a semi-regular here in September. But he has learned how to lay off that pitch away and force the pitcher back over the plate. And it's infectious. When you look at the lineup 1 through 9, everybody on that team has had a moment in the sun this year. The Blue Jays have had 9 walk-off hits this season. Springer, Bo, and Vladdy haven't had one of those 9 walk-off hits. It's been everybody else.
That's amazing. That's a great tidbit there about the length of their lineup.
It's a big team.
And you're seeing it like the chorus is playing here. I mean, Vlad has been great, but everyone else around him has been great also. You've mentioned his name a couple of times, and you pointed out like Bassett, Berrios, Scherzer are in here. Neither is Bo Bichette, who you could argue is the second best Blue Jay regular, third off of the season Springer's had this year, where he should finish in the top 10 in MVP in some way. You have a feel for Bichette. If the Blue Jays are able to finish this off moving forward, what his status is? Does he play?
Yeah, Joe, I don't think he's going to make it back. He's still not running. And here we are in game 3 of the division series. So I can't expect him to be back should the Blue Jays advance to the championship series. It would be a very long shot if he got back to the World Series. In 1985, I broke my leg in July, and the Blue Jays won the division. And I was working out to come back and get back to playing. In reality, I had no chance. When you miss that much time, I don't care how hard you work or how far you've come back. The gap between the last time you played and playing in a postseason game is dramatic. I would be very surprised if we see Bo Bichette the rest of this series.
How about Scherzer and Bassett, 2 guys we're very familiar with in New York? I'm sure they were disappointed. Were you surprised? And I mean, someone had suggested to me that Scherzer was the matchup. If it had been the Red Sox, Scherzer would have been active. Do you think we'll see them later? And Scherzer, is this the swan song for Scherzer, or is he going to keep going?
Yeah, John, you know what? Max had a real rough time down the stretch, and his first innings weren't good. He just couldn't get out of the first inning. Kansas City jumped on him, and he was just once he got past the first inning, it was okay, but it's still not vintage Max Scherzer. I was surprised that Bassett wasn't on the roster for this division series. John Schneider has grown so much as a manager. He said, "We are beyond pleasing. You can't please these guys. You have to put the best team on the field to win." And he made 3 tough decisions late in the season. They put Berrios down in the bullpen. Then they left Bassett and Scherzer off the roster. I mean, that's pretty dramatic. And to have those types of meetings with arguably, I mean, we know Max Scherzer's going to the Hall of Fame. Chris Bassett's been an outstanding pitcher for a long time. And to call him in the office and say, "You guys aren't going to be on the roster," that's a tough conversation. But John Schneider has grown so much into his managerial role. He understands it's not about pleasing your players and keeping everybody happy. It's about winning games. And he has made some great decisions in order to do that.
You know, you anticipated what I was going to ask here, which is I think on March 27th, which is the beginning of the season, we would put John Schneider very high on the hot seat. Does he make it through this year? I mean, everybody there, Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro. It felt like such a make or break year in Toronto for this group. And it certainly looks like a make. Why do you think it's been a make?
Because he has realized that he's the only one on the field that has a win-loss record, the manager. So he's the one that's responsible for wins and losses. And like I said before, he demanded his coaching staff do a better job of coaching. They're communicated much better. Sometimes we assume these major league players understand how to play the game. It's not the case. You have to explain everything to them, what you want them to do, how you want them to play, what you want their at bats to look like. And John Schneider has done that. And I have said it time and time again. This 2025 Blue Jays team reminds me of the 1985 Blue Jay team with Bobby Cox as the manager. A lot of interchangeable parts. When the other team makes a pitching change, four guys in the dugout stand up and get ready to play because they know they're going to be in the game at some point. Miles Straw, Davis Snyder, Nathan Lucas, Ernie Clement. They all know they're going to get in the game. That's the same way Bobby Cox did it in 1985. And I see an awful lot of Bobby Cox in John Schneider. I know, I love Bobby Cox, the best manager I ever played for in the Hall of Fame. But he was great at getting the best out of all of his players, and John Schneider is starting to do that.
I'm with you on Schneider. I think he's done a terrific job. I'm not so sure about him last year, but the bullpen was a problem. That helps everybody. When you got a better bullpen, they picked up Varland, obviously. Sir Anthony Dominguez is another plus. So they did well at the deadline to get what they needed to get themselves a decent bullpen. I want to just my final question just about you, Buck. I don't let Aaron Boone get under your skin. You look great, not only for your age, but just how are you feeling and how much longer are you going to be doing this?
Well, I feel great, John. And, my wife and I talk about it all the time. We've been married for 50 years. She's been around the game for a long time. And she said, why would you step away from something you love so much? And you're still pretty good at it. You still work hard at it. I still love going down on the field and talking with the players and the managers and the coaches. And my goal as a broadcaster is to tell the fans something they didn't know. I mean, there's so much information out there all now. I mean, you can find out anything about anybody anywhere. But my goal is to find out something that they couldn't find out because I talk to the players and the coaches and the managers. As far as how long I'm going to do it, I don't know. Here we are in October. I'm having a great time. And I'm blessed to be around the greatest ball players in the world every single day. And not only our players, but the opposing players as well. And I've had a wonderful run. And I don't know. It'll come to an end one day. But right now, I feel pretty good about it.
Buck, as a way to wrap up, you brought up the 1985 Blue Jays. It feels right that a team from Toronto would essentially have a line change like hockey mid-game where they would do it. You brought up Juan Guzman earlier. John and I in our first segment actually called the place Sky Dome. So we've been around a long time also, and we remember when that place was alive, and this place is alive now. I've always thought that Toronto is like the untapped giant of this sport because it has the whole country at its disposal. And if it ever kind of got it right serially, it could just be a behemoth, especially owned by Rogers. I wonder at this moment where they're back in the playoffs, they have a chance to advance after really three terrible playoff series, right? Where they lost 0-2, 0-2, 0-2 during the Vladdy Bichette era where
Right.
now they have a shot they've won some games and they got a real shot to advance. They got a real shot to get there, at least to the World Series. I wonder what you think about where the franchise is.
Well, the franchise in good shape, and we've been very critical of the front office, Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins over the years, but boy, have they done a great job. And you mentioned the bullpen acquisitions at the trade deadline, and we can't forget Shane Bieber. He's going to start Game 3, and he was picked up at the trade deadline when he was rehabbing on Tommy John. He made 7 starts for the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays won 5 of those 7 starts, and now he's in a position to clinch the division series. But the franchise, we're fortunate at Rogers. We can broadcast the games to Canada. We're the only team in Major League Baseball that can broadcast postseason games. And we will probably have 4 million viewers tonight when we watch this game on Game 3, which is incredible because you say an entire country is watching, and they are a phenomenal fan base. Skydome, Rogers Center has been a rocking place in postseason back in 92, 93, 15 and 16, and once again here in 2025.
Well, Buck, it was very short notice. We reached out. We thought it was an obvious person to talk to. John did a great job yesterday getting you. You didn't skirt it. You came on. We appreciate you doing that. It was a real boon for us. Sorry, but We appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Great to be with you guys. You've been around this game a long time, and I really appreciate what you do.
John and I, of course, thank Buck Martinez for joining us on the show. Hit or error, John?
Well, I'm going to give a hint. I've probably done it before to the Milwaukee Brewers. They've been amazing, incredible, relentless. They're hitting, I would say, better than anybody, but of course the Blue Jays are hitting pretty well too. I mean, they fell down behind 3-0 last night as we do this and came back and scored 7 runs, all with 2 outs, different innings, but people say they don't have power. They're showing power. They do everything right. They do all the little things. They've had pitching injuries. They have a low payroll. They're the smallest market. Really an amazing job by the Brewers against their chief rival, the Cubs. Cubs are in the same situation as the Yankees, but that one feels even slightly worse for the Cubs than it does for the Yankees to me. It doesn't feel good for anybody to be down 0-2, but to beat the Brewers at this point, it's going to be tough.
Will be tough to convince everyone we need a salary cap if it's Brewers Tigers in the World Series.
Yeah, right. Brewers, Tigers. Maybe the small market teams have kind of risen. I don't know if Detroit is the smallest, but yeah. And I mean, even the Reds made the playoffs over the Mets. I don't want to remind all the Met fans, but the small markets are doing okay this year. And Miami, not a small market, but small revenue, as we recall, knocked the Mets out. So I guess I don't mind saying something negative about the Mets. But so I apologize to the Mets fans listening.
Yeah, we'll get to them during the offseason. John, I'm going to give a hit to the kids. It feels like there's been a pitching changing of the guard a little bit. Like Verlander didn't make the playoffs. Clayton Kershaw was kept off the postseason roster for the first round. He's a reliever in the second round. Max Scherzer is not on this Blue Jay roster. Cole's hurt, Wheeler's hurt, Chris Sale isn't here, Jacob deGrom isn't here. The pitchers we've talked about this postseason, Yesavage, that was his 4th start. Cam
Yes.
Schlittler, that was his 15th start. I actually thought Connolly early pitched well. He was undermined by his Red Sox defense. Otherwise, he was doing really well against the Yankees. And last night, watching Jacob Misiorowski come out of the bullpen, who came up in midseason. John, I just keep wondering, do you almost have to keep some pitching in reserve and have a fresh arm or two down the stretch because it seems everybody else is dead? Like, I think if the Dodgers win this thing again, it's going to be because they slow played all their veteran pitchers and didn't put 190 innings on them. And like I was in spring training with them. I know you were also, and somebody kind of said, like, Ohtani could start whenever we want him to start. We just have probably about 130 innings maybe, and we're not going to waste them in April, May, maybe not even June. We're going to get to October and make them a factor. I think they slow played Snell's injury. I think that you've got to keep something in reserve if you can. We've seen 4 pretty young pitchers, 3 of whose teams are still in this, in part because of them, how well they've pitched, really rise up at this time while some of the old guard is gone.
Yeah, I mean, Snell is the extreme example. What did he throw, 61 innings? I think they did it on purpose. I mean, he seemed fine. I mean, I don't know. I would test out his shoulder. I don't have an X-ray machine or anything like that, but they definitely slow played him. He's been great in the second halves of his career, right? I mean, he won a Cy Young with just an unbelievable second half very recently. And he's doing it again. He looked almost unhittable in his start last night as we do this. So, I mean, obviously the Dodgers can afford to do these things. They have 7 great starters. Now, they're bullpen guys who look like they built an incredible bullpen on paper, and they all kind of disappointed or got hurt. Now they've got so many great starters fresh and ready to go that now that's their bullpen, right? I mean, Sasaki is in the bullpen, and Sheehan's in the bullpen, Kershaw's in the bullpen. I'm not sure what they're doing with Glass now yet, but he was in the bullpen briefly. So, I mean, very good strategy by them. But you're right, Schlittler and Yesavage have been the 2 best pitchers that we've seen, at least in the American League side of things. National League, they've had some good pitching too. And I agree with you, early was undermined. Obviously, a pop fly at his center that should have been caught. Grounder off the first baseman's glove. I know some people criticize Alex Cora for letting him go too long. He didn't do anything wrong. The guy early was really, really good. It's going to be tough to match Schlittler anyway, but They've all been great. There is an advantage to not having been seen and not having been scouted as much before, but we may have some really special arms here. Schlittler feels like a pretty special one, throwing over 100 miles an hour as a starter. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I asked Garrett Cole in the celebration after that game, what's it like to see his 23-year-old self? And he kind of said, "Oh, that's both flattering and not, right?" It's of course, it was Garrett Cole. He handled it well. On the subject of young guns, John, Tommy Hogan, our terrific producer, always helping us week to week. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, please rate, review, download us, follow us, etc. It does really help the show, as does watching us on the New York Post Sports YouTube page. And we're going to keep going right through these playoffs and into the hot stove if you stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman.